but they'll have to pick it before it's ready to be picked. This is from Naps. Naps. Nahpsss. Naps. Do you find it, Papa Swolio, do you find it important to eat seasonally? And do you eat in season yourself, fruits and vegetables? I think it's important. I'm just being honest. I don't pay much attention to it personally. I don't worry so much about it. I'm also in Florida, so there's less of that seasonal thing. It's kind of nice all the time. But of course, in the winter, relative to the hot fucking summers, it is a lot cooler. So you have seasonal fruits down here too. Mangoes are seasonal, strawberries are seasonal, watermelon are seasonal down here. But of course, what you're referring to is the fact that us humans, we can go to Whole Foods or you can go to any supermarket pretty much anywhere in the country. We have it so rough in this country, you could find food 24/7, 365. But you can find fruits that's why when the seasons change, when it's the winter or the spring or the summer, you'll see different stickers on the fruit, whether it's organic or conventional. You'll see different countries because not fruits only, not fruits don't, or different fruits only, they're not going to grow all year round. So in the winter, you might be seeing them from Chile, or in the spring, you might be seeing them from, just throwing countries out there, another like Guatemala, you might see from Mexico, you might see avocados from this location at this time of year, and then you'll see it from a different place. So it depends on what the climate is in that country and in that part of the world when you're sourcing the fruits. So the idea behind eating seasonal fruits is that it's going to be healthier for you. It's going to have less toxins in general, or less issues with digestibility, with like lectins and things like that usually get reabsorbed, or the composition of the fruits change when they're more ripe. And the thing is, if you're getting fruits that are out of season, let's say I'm in Florida and they're not making fruit A here, they're going to have to pick it early. They're going to have to artificially ripen it or pick it well before it's ripe, because they might have to ship it. It might take a week or two to get to it might take, they might pick it. It might take 3, 4, 5 days to arrive. And then they have to unload it. And then they have to ship it and transport it to the supermarket, which might take another day or two. And then they have to take it off the truck, and then they have to stock it. And not all of it's going to be on the shelf. So it has to last like another week or 2 or 3, or whatever the fruit is. It depends. I'm not a fruit expert when it comes to stocking produce at a supermarket. If you work at a supermarket, you could drop that in the comments. But they'll have to pick it before it's ready to be picked. So the fruit and the food, that's why a lot of the fruits, it doesn't have the same quality. It doesn't taste the same. It's not really ripe. Plus, you have a lot of over farming and not enough variety and nutrition in the soil, because there's just so much food volume and there's so much food waste. You're not getting the same kind of quality fruits that if you just kind of found it in the wild when you're farming. A lot of times where you're actually harvesting or picking the fruit where it's ripening, it can get kind of depleted over time. So it depends. And you might find that during certain seasons, let's say it comes from Guatemala, let's say it's avocados or something, you might find that, during this season, it's off season, that they don't taste as good when they're coming from this country. Maybe it's just the soil, maybe it's the type of avocado, maybe it's the weather pattern for this year. There's all those different variables too. But I personally eat more, a lot of times I do frozen fruit, because one of the benefits that I find from frozen fruit is that it's ripe. The fruit is picked when it's ripe, and then it's frozen. And it's washed and flashed and it's frozen. So you're getting it while it's ripe. You're not kind of like rolling the dice. So let's say you buy raspberries or blackberries or something like that in the supermarket. I mean, how often have you purchased raspberries and they're like, you have them in the fridge for 2 days, and then you have like the white fuzz on them. You start getting mold after like a day or two, especially when you get them on sale, when they have to flush them out. Like, oh my God, we have too many, 2 for $5, buy them up. And you're like, oh my God, organic raspberries for 2 for $5. And they're usually $9 or whatever the fuck it is. You buy them and then you're like, cool, I'll eat these tomorrow. And tomorrow they just have mold all over them. You're like, fuck, how does it know? It's like avocados and fruit like that know when you leave the soup. It's like, hey, it knows when you left the supermarket. It's like, okay, and rot. Dun, dun, dun. Nice. Good timing. Good job, fam. Good job. We did it. So, and plus frozen fruit stays until you eat it. So I do think it's important to eat seasonally, and in season, if you can, it's a good move. I generally just personally don't pay that much attention. I eat very consistently what I always eat, but I don't like, oh, in the winter, I'm not going to eat as many carbohydrates. I think it'd be different for me. I mean, I know it would be definitely different for me if I lived up north, like where I grew up. If I lived in New York and Connecticut and I just was in fucking snow and it was 10 degrees outside, I would definitely be doing more in the winter. It's definitely by design to do more keto and eat fat, broth, just fat, protein. You're not going to have leafy greens. Like that's definitely not natural for humans to have access to that in the winter. But for example, if you're in, for example, a warmer climate, it's less of a stretch, but you have shorter days. One of the reasons why fruits are ripening in the summer because warmer climate, it makes sense, but also because the days are longer, it's hotter. So think about what fruit does. It's hydrating. You have, sugar, energy. It's just a good source for animals to consume these things so the plants can perpetuate. Animals eat the fruits and they crap out the seeds and then the fertilize and then the plants can reproduce. So whether or not you're carnivore or you dabble in fruits or you don't like fruits, you want to generally go for more or less glycemic, less impact, lower glycemic index fruits like berries that are going to impact your blood sugar less. So, there's still like the debate whether or not fruit or whether or not sugar and how much is actually necessary. But if I lived in a really cold climate, just personally, I would gravitate towards, I probably wouldn't be doing any kind of carbs of that sort with fruits and veggies like that at all because of just the environment that I'd be in. But it's a little bit less extreme. It's obviously much less extreme down here in Florida. So even though it feels extreme, like, oh my God, it's freezing. You look at the temperature and it says 60 degrees. Like, you fucking pussy. And you grow up north and I look at the temperature and like, how is it so cold? How am I freezing my ass off and it's 60 degrees? Doesn't make sense. You just feel like a huge bitch when you grow up north and then you come down here, you're like, oh my God, it's so cold. You look at the temperature, it's 70. Get your shit together.